This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today is a special abbreviated show. It is one segment. The show is taken from 9/9 of 2014. The entire show is Greg Rempe. Let's get right to it. Here is Greg Rempe from 9/9 2014.
All right, so Thursday marks 13 years from when terrorists right here in America decided to hijack 4 planes, and fly them into various parts of our country. 2 found their way to the heart of New York City, and buildings in my, I don't know if I'm a skyscraper guy, but I always thought the World Trade Centers were very unique. Having grown up in upstate New York for most of my life until the 7th, 8th grade, got to see a lot of the New York City stations, Channel 11 WPIX, where I watched the Yankees growing up. And there was always a commercial where there was a shot panning up, and then there were the Twin Towers as number 11 WPIX. Seeing it in every movie ever, to be all of a sudden in a position where they're not up anymore, they're not standing anymore, they're gone like forever, is still 13 years later, mind-boggling to me. I was a young, 13 years ago would put me right around 27 years old. I was a very young, kind of out of college guy, making sales call out to the west side of Ohio. If you're familiar with Ohio at all, then you're a big roller coaster fan, or Cedar Point, so Sandusky, Ohio. And I was out in it's Cedar Point and then cornfields forever. And I was out in the cornfields listening to Howard Stern, who then was still on terrestrial radio. And Robin Quivers interrupted one of Howard's interviews and said, "Hey, there was just a report of a plane crashing into the World Trade Center." And I didn't think too much about it. I did think right off the bat, how do you miss that? Or something must happen to the pilot, or some, But plane, like propeller plane, never thought for a second that airliners were hitting and about to hit each of the World Trade Centers. And then a handful of minutes pass, and then she comes back on again, Robin, and says, "Oh, Howard, there's been these are jets that are crashing into the World Trade Center, and we're under attack." And then to hear that one is, there was a disturbance over at the Pentagon, and planes are being grounded, and I was in the middle of nowhere. Had a 4-month-old kid at that point, almost to the day. She was born on May 8th. This was September 11th. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm an hour and 10 minutes away from my house. I don't know what's going on with my wife. Cell phones weren't hugely prevalent back in 2001 still. Much more pervasive than they were than they were originally, but still not where we are today, where everybody has them. And I'm thinking, man, we're under attack. And they're using planes. And if you know anything about aviation and how many planes and jets are up in the air during the day, it's mind-boggling to think, for as bad as it was, if it would have been 10 times worse or 20 times worse, what cities they could have taken advantage of. And I'm nowhere near anybody that I wanted to be near. And I turn around and I race to home. And the streets are emptying. And I blow through the middle of downtown Cleveland, and I got to be the only car on the driveway or on the highway at this point. And finally make it back to my in-laws, which is where everybody ended up going because, nobody knows where to go. And now we watch the replays of the planes going into the World Trade Center, and then you watch them go down, and it's confirmed that the Pentagon was struck and that there is a plane out in Pennsylvania that has crashed as well into the fields. And then to learn the stories that come out of there. And, for years, I wanted to have and if you go back and listen to this show every September 11th or around September 11th, this segment, there was a time where I was calling for a channel to be made, a cable channel to be made that showed what happened on September 11th, 2001 in a loop over and over again. And the idea behind that is to make sure that, my kids growing up, the more time that passes, the more you get away from it. And it's just what happens. It's not as fresh as it was the year after it happened, or 2 years or 5 years. And we're getting on 13 years now. But the idea was to keep it so people would go by it, or maybe they would want to go back and remember how they felt, so they wouldn't forget. And then I watched a special last year and was listening to a lady whose son was on one of the planes that went into the World Trade Center, and she said, and this gave perspective for me, and I think half of me still wants to have that channel. So in 100 years from now, when that channel's still playing, people 100 years removed or 113 years removed understand what that was like here on our turf. Not somewhere else, but right here in the capital of the country. New York City. And she said, every year I see these planes, it's just reenacted, not reenacted, but it's replayed and replayed and replayed. And she's like, I can't watch it anymore. I don't turn on the television anymore. I don't watch those. And I'm thinking, why don't you watch them? And she said, it's because every year I watch my son die again. Multiple times during the course of the day, I watch his plane go into the World Trade Center. And I was like, well, that was a perspective that I never got. For as much as me wanting to never forget, I never thought that, having that play is, for all those people in those planes specifically. I mean, think about it. How many times do you watch, have you seen the planes go into the World Trade Center and it doesn't register that there's people in there? Like, it doesn't. I mean, be honest. I mean, you think it's there, but it's just, and you see it, and it just doesn't seem like those people were taking off to go to L.A. and San Francisco and had business and were going to see family. I mean, there were people on those planes. And you're just watching them go right into those buildings, and you hear the story of Somerset and how they overtook the plane, Shanksville. It is. I mean, think about that the next time you're when you watch, when they're going to re-show it again. There's people on those planes. There's people on those planes, and it's like you watch it and it just doesn't even register. And it's just something that, for as long as I do the show, and I always say if I never had the show, or if I stopped doing the show, in a year from now or 2 years from now, I would probably delete all the social media stuff, because I have that for the show, I have it for promotion, I have it for the promotion of my sponsors that graciously support this show and believe in it. But this specific thing is very close to me, and I can't sit here and name off 10 people that I know personally that were victims in that I never see again, like a lot of other people do. But it's just imperative to me. It's a passion for me to make sure that when we get around this time, especially if September 11th doesn't happen to fall on a Tuesday, that I set aside even these 14 minutes, which seems paltry, over the course of a year before I do it again, to remember the people that lost their lives on September 11th, to remember the people that were taken advantage of and murdered on September 11th, and to also remember the heroes, the policemen, the EMS, the firefighters that went into harm's way. And that's what they do. Emergencies, I'm running out, they're running in. And that was all part of the plan. And, those bastards got them. They got what they wanted. And I'm sure they wanted more, but they got a lot. A lot of people died that day. A lot of people shouldn't have died that day. We've tried to make changes for the betterment of it, but, making changes versus not forgetting, it's not going to happen on this show's watch, especially when we get down to this time of the year. And, I'm not reading the comments or anything because I'm not looking to try and take anybody's thoughts and make them my own. This is just me talking for these 14 minutes tonight. And we'll do it again next year, and we'll do it again the year after that. And as long as I have this show, I will always sign off the way that I do, and we will always hold a special segment for September 11th. Because I don't want to let anybody forget about it. And I think we're at a time now where, just media and what's available on the internet pretty much makes that impossible. But I do believe that the farther you get away, the farther you get away. And I don't want that to happen here for this show. It can happen on other shows, but it's not going to happen on this show. So we will do it again next year. Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you for listening to the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Until next time, I'm your host, Jon Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.